All right, welcome. Today we're going to unpack a really powerful design philosophy that honestly shapes so much of the world around us, from these massive iconic buildings to super minimalist art. It's this idea called truth to materials, and it's all about honesty, authenticity, and just letting things be what they are. So let's dive right in.
But to really get why this idea was such a game changer, we have to start with a question that seems kinda weird today. Why on earth would you paint a piece of wood to make it look like marble? Or why cover up perfectly good brick with stucco just to make it look like stone? You see, for a long time, this kind of imitation was totally normal. It was all about decoration, all about trying to mimic more expensive, fancier materials.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the one side, you've got deception, right? Materials hiding what they really are. But on the other side, you have this radical new way of thinking, authenticity. It was a huge reaction against all that decorative fakeness. Designers started to say, hey, wait a minute, the natural grain of wood is beautiful all on its own, and exposed brick can actually show you honestly how a building is put together, and that is the problem that truth to materials came to solve.
All right, so what is this truth to materials thing really? Let's break it down.
At its absolute core, truth to materials is just this. The idea that a material should be used honestly. You shouldn't hide it, you shouldn't disguise it. It's about celebrating what a substance is all about. Its texture, its strength, its natural color. The whole idea really is to let the material just speak for itself.
So the first big idea is just honesty in expression. It's simple, right? It means wood should look and feel like wood. You celebrate the grain. Stone should look like stone. You show off its unique texture. The stuff a thing is made of, its look, its feel, its structural abilities, that gets put front and center. You don't cover it up.
And of course, if you're going to be honest, you've got to reject all the fake stuff. No more of that. No more concrete panels pretending to be brick, or cheap plastic veneers trying to look like some expensive exotic wood. This philosophy sees all that fakery as deceptive. I mean, it's kind of disrespectful to the material itself, right? Now, this isn't just about looks. It goes way deeper, right down to the structure of the thing itself. Materials shouldn't just look honest. They need to be used in a way that shows off what they can do. Think about steel. It's celebrated for its incredible strength, which lets architects create these huge, open spaces that you just couldn't build with something like wood or stone. The design itself should show you what that material is capable of.
So who are the people who really champion this? Let's look at some of the masters and see how they actually put this philosophy into practice.
First up, we've got a legend, the American architect Frank Lloyd Wright. He was a huge advocate for this idea, and he folded it right into his bigger philosophy, which he called organic architecture.
And you just can't talk about this without talking about his masterpiece, Falling Water. What's so amazing here is that you can see the philosophy in action, clear as day. Wright used stone from the local quarry, raw concrete, and massive sheets of glass. Materials weren't just for building. They were chosen specifically to make the house feel like it was a part of the landscape, like it grew right out of the rocks in the waterfall.
All right, next up, a giant of the modernist movement, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. He took this whole concept and pushed it into this incredible minimalistic direction.
I mean, you know his famous saying, right? Less is more. It's basically the mantra for this whole idea. It's all about stripping away every single thing that isn't absolutely essential, so you can let the pure beauty of the materials and the structure just shine.
Just look at his Barcelona pavilion. It's the perfect example. Look at those sleek, clean lines. There is zero ornamentation here. What you see instead is the pure, raw beauty of glass, steel, and these incredible slabs of stone. He created a space that feels so open, so light, and so honest, because there's absolutely nothing to hide.
Okay, our last architect, he took this whole idea and just ran with it, all the way to its most raw, most powerful conclusion. Let's talk about Le Corbusier and his love affair with concrete.
Le Corbusier was a huge figure in what became known as the Brutalist movement. It celebrated raw, unfinished concrete, what the French called béton brut. So instead of covering it up, architects in this style showed off concrete's rough texture and its massive structural power. The point is, buildings like his Unité d'Habitation were an honest-to-goodness expression of the structure itself. No pretty facade, nothing to hide behind.
But hey, this wasn't just happening in architecture. Not at all. The same exact ideas were just blowing up in the art world at the same time.
And you can see the connection so clearly here. You had sculptors like Constantin Brancusi, who would let the grain of the wood or the veins in the marble basically dictate the final shape of the sculpture. The material was everything.
And in painting, you had abstract expressionists like Jackson Pollock. He wasn't just painting a picture, he was exploring what paint is, letting its drips and its fluidity literally creates the artwork. The medium itself became the message.
So you see, it didn't matter if you were building a skyscraper or making a sculpture. Everyone was tapping into these same core ideas: a deep respect for craftsmanship and being authentic, a real drive toward minimalism and simplicity, and, above all, a powerful commitment to honesty, to just letting the material speak for itself.
Okay, so this might all sound like a history lesson, right? But believe me, this idea is maybe more relevant today than it ever was. Here's why.
First off, let's talk sustainability. Being true to your materials means you're more likely to use local stuff. Local stone, local wood, which cuts way down on emissions. It means you choose things that last, that are durable, creating things built for generations, not for a landfill. And then there's this whole thing about authenticity. I mean, we live in a world of digital filters and fakeness. We crave things that are real and genuine. And finally, it just gives us a kind of ethical guide for design. It's about being transparent, about creating work that's not just beautiful, but is also honest to its very core.
And that kind of brings us to one last big question. This whole philosophy was born from physical stuff, wood, stone, steel. So in a world that is more and more about digital screens, virtual reality, and AI-generated content, what does truth to materials even mean anymore? What's the material we should be true to now? It's a huge question and definitely something to chew on.